Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back. Today we're doing a set review for the new set. All will be one is a Phyrexia set. We're going to be doing the top 5 cards for each color. So that's white, blue, black, red, and green. And then we're doing the multicolored and artifacts and lands. My set review is going to cover mostly standard, but it will note some cards that are very powerful for other formats. Usually those standard sets will impact standard, and then there are a few cards that will make it to older formats, and I will mention those as well. Okay, so we're going to start off, and right now we're going to start off with the white cards. The first one being Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. Is a 5-mana creature. It's 4/7 with Vigilance, and it says if permanent in the battlefield causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers additional time. It's going to double all your triggered abilities, double your Fable Mirror Breakers, stop your opponent's Fable Mirror Breakers, double anything that comes into play and exile something, like a Banishing Light, Leyline Binding, Omen of the Sea. It's going to do the opposite for the opponent. It's going to stop those. It's basically like a white Yarok, which is powerful. Like Yarok's all play, right? And Yarok was 3 colors, so Elish Norn, being just 5 mana in 1 color, I think is powerful enough to see play. And if she lives, she will hinder the opponents greatly. And if your deck is built around her, you'll be able to really take care of your opponent's creatures, or just heavily outgrow them with card advantage or battlefield advantage or whatever. So that's my pick for 5. 4, I'm gonna go with the Skrilv, Defector Might. This is a 1-mana 1/1. And I don't want to go over. I think there'll be a green-white toxic deck in standard. I didn't want to list all the toxic cards because I'm not sure if there will be, but it seems kind of pushed in this set, right? And this Defector Might reminds me of Mother of Ruins, but an aggressive one. So it's a 1-mana 1/1. It's toxic 1, and it says It says this thing can't block. And you can pay one white or 2 life to tap it and choose a color. It gives another creature you control toxic 1 and hexproof from that color on turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. This card is great. Obviously, it's good defensively too, but it's really good attacking as well because it allows creatures to get through. Not being able to block is kind of rough, so you can't just block with it and give it. But it's important to know this isn't protection. Like Mother of Ruins, you can block, you can tap it, give protection, and then prevent damage as well. But I still think this is very powerful for the Infect deck, if there is one. This is going to be a core card in that deck. And this is again, a powerful one. It's also an artifact, which doesn't hurt at all. Okay. The next one we have, coming on number 3, is Eternal Wanderer. 6-mana Planeswalker. The static ability of this one says, no more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. It's kind of like a little mini artifact that says, well, one creature can attack per turn. Silent Arbiter, in a way. Anyways, the +1 exiles 1 artifact or creature and returns the battlefield on its own control, begin the end step. So if your opponent has 1 creature, 1 is enough to attack her. Her 0 makes a 2/2 Samurai with a double strike, similar to the 4-mana Wandering Emperor, but this one is double strike, and it's not minus. And the -4 is, I think, why this card is playable, is because it's basically you play for 6 and ultimate right away. And the ultimate is for each player, you choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control, not chosen this way. So it's kind of like a mini board wipe. And then she lives on top of that. Excuse me, and then forces to attack her. I don't think this card is as strong as the Wandering Emperor. I think you'll play 2 or 3 Wandering Emperors before you play any of the Eternal Wanderer. This card is a nice top end for your control deck or your mid-range deck. And we do have the mono white control deck running around. This card is also great in that deck as well. And her ultimate doesn't destroy. It gets around indestructibility. It gets around protection. Even if a card has pro white, you can still choose that card because choosing doesn't target. So this card's pretty sweet. And then for 2, we have Ossification. This one, it is one of the strongest cards that I've seen for a long time like this. So it's like a Oblivion Ring for 2 mana. It says enchant basic land you control. Listen to the battlefield. Exile target creature or planeswalker opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. Doesn't hit enchantments or artifacts. This card is just very good, very good for 2 mana. And this card also works very well with Elish Norn. Talking about her earlier, where it said, you know, your abilities trigger twice, so this will exile 2 planeswalkers or a creature. And with 2 mana, for 2 mana removal spell for planeswalker is just powerful. You know, like Dreadbore is a card played in older formats that hits planeswalkers or creatures, right? It's sorcery speed. This is similar to that. It's enchantment, obviously, and it does restrict you to basic land type, but it's 1 color. Goes enchantment decks stuff. So this card is going to be see a lot of play across standard forever, for as long as it's legal. And I think it'll splash into older formats. Obviously, you have Chained Rocks in like modern stuff, but this hitting planeswalkers is a big deal. All right. Number 1 is mostly for standard, but I think this card is huge. It's Phyrexia Vindicator. Okay, it's 4 white, which reminds me of Dawn Elemental, 5/5 flyer. So I think flying is more important than trample here. And it says if damage be dealt to this thing, prevent that damage. When damage is run this way, it deals that much damage to any other target. So not only is this great on defense, it's great on offense. It's hard to kill as well. It does cool things with first strike. If your opponent has a creature that's first strike, you can like let the first strike resolve and then kill another creature too. It's great for devotion. It's just this card just seems very, very powerful to me. It's extremely hard to kill without like exiling it. So yeah, and then again, we do have the mono white control like a standard with like that has like lay down arms, the path to exile. We have this thing. We have the Wandering Emperor. There's a lot of draw to a mono white control like in standard. I think this will slot in there really well. This card is extremely cool and powerful. All right, next up. So originally I was not gonna put Jace on here. I actually didn't think Jace was good enough. But I did end up putting him on number 5 because mostly because I think blue didn't get a ton of great cards overall. But Jace also costs 3 mana. Jace costing 3 mana is a big deal coming on early, and then plusing on a creature to give it -3/-0. The minus ability isn't that great, but it does remind me of visions of Beyond, where you draw 1 card or you draw 3 cards. Your opponent has 20 more cards in the graveyard. And then minus ability is like whatever. I think if you're able to just draw 3 cards off this, it's going to be good. This card I think is like, again, I don't think it's that great, but also I think the blue cards are amazing. They get better as we go up, obviously, but this one is a planeswalker. I give it a nod at 5. And I think it's noteworthy to keep in mind this does cost 3 mana, which can be relevant. But I don't think it's like gonna break the metagame or anything crazy. So this one, actually, the more I think about it, I really like it. We have Ichor Moon Gauntlet, 3 mana artifact that says planeswalkers you control have 0 proliferate. And -12, take an extra of this one. And it says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent, additional counter of that kind on that permanent. What's cool about this is like this is a playable Inexorable Tide. And in multiples, it is good, like because you proliferate twice. I think this is actually going to be really cool, or could be powerful in a deck that has the new Teferi. The new Teferi, we draw a card, it gets loyalty. I think +0 draw a card, obviously. So like if you're drawing cards, it's getting loyalty, and then you're casting spells, it's getting loyalty. I think it can be very easily to like combo off and take a bunch of turns with Jace. And not Jace, sorry, it's Fairy. And this card. It's very like, it's a meme unless it starts really working. Really, then you know it's going to be kind of powerful and annoying. It is an artifact though, so it is vulnerable. But I think this card is very fun to brew around. It's very powerful if it gets going. And I think having Teferi in the format is super cool and helps out a lot. All right. Next up, we have the Blue Suns Twilight. So originally we had the Zeniths. Now we have Twilights. This one is 2 and a blue and X, gain a 12 creature with mana value X or less. Then if X is 5 or more, you get a copy of that creature. This is really powerful because you get to take the creature. It's not an enchantment, so whatever you take is yours forever. And then if you pay more, obviously you have to copy it, and it's even better. Obviously, this is not too great against like something like Shieldred or anything legendary, but stealing something small or doubling it, or like white decks play the Angel. That's a great target. Just taking the best creature and doubling it is backbreaking, right? Taking it on its own is annoying, but like taking Phyrexian Obliterator for example, and getting 2 of them is huge. Or taking the white one, Phyrexian Vindicator, is also huge. Very cool card and powerful if in like a control deck or a deck that ramps. This one's cool. Cool card. All right. Some people might think this is one is weird for having on here, but it's 2 mana. Is Anticipate with Proliferate. Okay, so look at the top 3 cards of your library, pull them into your hand, and the rest of the library in any order, and then Proliferate. Anticipate obviously is not good enough. Impulse is like kind of fine. I think the Proliferate on this card is huge. You're playing playing a control deck, or you're trying to take turns with Ichor, Moon Gauntlet, and the Planeswalkers. I just think it's very powerful in the right shell, and there's a huge like Proliferate theme in this set, even with some green cards. I think there will be a blue-green Proliferate deck that rewards you for playing Planeswalkers, proliferating, and just comboing off, so to speak. I think this one is sweet. There's also another card that costs 2 mana. It draws you a card, and it gives the opponent a poison counter. And basically it allows you to kill the opponent without actually attacking them with poison. I think that's super cool. I think this will be a key part of that card as well. All right. Coming number 1. Hear me out first, okay? Again, Simic and Blue has a lot of ways to proliferate and reduce costs. Mind Splice Apparatus is 4 mana and has Flash. Okay. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. Instants and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 to cast for each oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. I know at first this looks kind of like whatever. It doesn't seem like that great or minimal. But I promise you, this is an artifact which makes it more vulnerable. This reminds me of a green wilderness reclamation. It has Flash, so you can play it when if you're not drawing cards or countering a spell, you can play EOT and then start building it up. And once this thing is like 2 or 3 oil counters, it's gonna reduce your cards by a lot. Like that's a lot over time. And on top of that, we do have there's a land. Can't remember the land's name exactly, but it does add oil counters to permanents. This thing is an artifact, so it is more vulnerable than Reclamation is. But like there's some good X spells, right? We have all the Twilights, right? Like earlier we talked about the Blue Sun or the Blue Sun's Twilight, which is powerful. There's a white one. There's one in each color. There's a green one. There's Awake in the Woods. There's Silver Scrutiny. So it's just it's just a very powerful card if it goes unchecked or left behind. You know, and if you're playing a control deck and your opponent has a Braid, it's also kind of good for you. Like, because you usually control decks play very low creatures. So if they leave a Braid in and they're holding it up, it means they're not pressuring you as well, which is also good for you. So I'm a fan of this card. I like it. It reminds me of a weaker but different Wilderness Reclamation for blue. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Then so this one's coming on to number 5. This one's more of a brew round, but his ability reminds me of like Colorless Summoning because it's so powerful. So 3 mana, 3/4. And it says other creatures you control get -1/-1. And then you pay 3 mana to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains this creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Active only as a sorcery. And even if Geth dies, that creature still remains alive. Obviously, Geth is only going to be as good as the creatures you're discarding. So we do have like Kind of Industry. But I think like basically I see Geth in like a Jund shell, right? With Kind of Industry, you can do Obnixilis, the Saga. Man, the 5-mana black Saga like that lets you Grim Tutor and reanimate 2. Yeah, we'll also do have the new Atraxa coming up, the new set. Or just reanimating like Shielded or whatever. And then, yeah, so cool to have Gix. I think you can make a cool Jund deck with like Fable the Mirror Breaker, Soul of Windgrace, and Geth to like kind of have this cool synergy deck where you bring back artifacts creatures and lands. It's kind of cool. I don't like is it broken? No, but it makes you brew cards, brew decks, and I think I'm gonna give a nod for that. And also, it's a really cool card to build a commander deck around as well. All right, next one is Black Sun's Twilight. This is the Black Sun. So it's Black X, and this one's instant, which is huge because it's instant. It says if one target creature gets -6/-X on a turn, if X is 5 or more, return a creature card with value 5 or less from graveyard to the battlefield tapped. This reminds me of Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. That card was very powerful, but Yawgmoth's Vile Offering was a sorcery. Actually, it was a legendary sorcery. So you need to control a Planeswalker or a legendary creature. This one, not only do you not need to control a Planeswalker or a legendary creature, it's an instant speed, right? Like, killing a Shielder, bring yours back, or killing an Obliterator and bringing Shielder back, or whatever, or even Bloodtithe Harvester, whatever. It's a 2-for-1, and it's because it's instant is huge. Like it's not sorcery speed, so like it's very good for control decks, very good for just black decks. It's just a very powerful card. I'm so glad it's instant because it's gonna be super sweet. It's a huge swing too. Thankfully the card comes by taps. So you can't like kill something, bring a creature back and block. Which that is on purpose, obviously. Otherwise, card would be even stronger. But this is a sweet card. It also gets around indestructibility as well. This is -/-, so pretty cool, pretty sweet one. All right, number 3. Black has a lot of very powerful cards, especially at 4 mana. Again, we're talking about Shieldred. But Phyrexia Blader is a reprint that is also a strong card. 4 mana, trample. Whenever a sorcery deals damage to, whenever a sorcery deals damage to Obliterator, that sorcerer's controller sacrifices that many permanents. Okay. So this card we'll see more play in a Golgari deck, a black-green deck, because what you want to do is you want to play this and you want to fight other creatures and force your opponent to sack permanents. And we do have the 1 mana fight spell. I think it's called Bushwhack, that gets you a basic land or lets you fight, right? And we have tons of at 2 mana as well, and just one fight spell with this thing in play will end the game, right? It's pretty. I'm not sure if y'all have played this card before, but when this set comes out, people are gonna block this thing for like the first week or two, not knowing what's happening, and then the board's gonna get wiped, and then they'll learn the power of Obliterator. This card is it is a powerful one. Obviously, I think if you're not playing green spells or fight spells, you're better off just playing Shieldred. But if you are playing fight spells, this card is backbreaking with them. Shieldred is overall better for sure. And Shieldred is like the steady good card. This one is like very high. The ceiling is very high if you are able to fight. If you fight spells, if not, it's still decent. But again, it ends the game with fight spells. All right, coming at number two. Number two, we have Vraska, Betrayal, Sting. 6 mana or 5 and a Phyrexia mana. Rest in peace, Vraska. So her 0. So this card reminds me a lot of Obnixilis Reignited. Her 0, you draw a card, you lose 1 life, and you proliferate. Proliferate on a Planeswalker is so much better than +1. This boosts your other, like basically her 0 will plus herself and other walkers, will plus counters, it will plus poison. Her 0 is actually a very, very good ability in and of itself. Her minus, excuse me. Her -2 is also very powerful, where it basically kills something. This target creature becomes a treasure artifact. Sorry. With tap, sacrifice this to add 1 mana of any color, lose all other abilities and card types. So basically, essentially, a removal spell turns into a treasure, and once turned into a treasure, it's a treasure for, forever. Like even if Vraska is still a treasure. And her ultimate, I love Vraska's ultimates because all her ultimates are like, if I deal you 1 more damage, you're dead, right? There's one that says if her other ultimate is in the I think War of the Spark was, or a different one, I can't remember which one it was, but it's like if you deal damage to them with the creature, they die. This one says if target player has fewer than 9 poison counters, they get number of poison counters equals the difference. So basically, you give them 9 poison. It's like just 1 more poison and you die, which is pretty cool. I like her first 2 abilities more. Her last ability is whatever. The first 2 ones are just make her worth it. And she is a combo with Emergent Ultimatum in older formats. She combos well with Vorniclix, right? If you're able to play Vorniclix on her with Emergent Ultimatum, you're able to kill the opponent because they get 1 more counter instead of 9. They get 10. You just kill them. So that is a niche window, but it is a powerful one. All right, coming at number 1. This is going to be Sheoldred's Edict. Uncommon. Number 1. 2 mana. Choose 1. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Token. Or each opponent sacrifices a planeswalker. I know this is not exciting. Like, it's not as flashy as Obliterator. It's not as flashy as Vraska or the Black Sun's Twilight. This card is just so good, even older formats. Like, if someone makes a Merit Lodge token, being able to target it with the minus is extremely powerful. Usually edicts suck for tokens, so being able to be like, you know what, just sacrifice a non-token creature is also huge. And instant speed, killing a planeswalker is a big deal as well. This is the best edict, I believe, in the game. I don't think there's a better one that I've. Honestly I think this is the best one. We have like sudden even like we have someone split second and blah blah blah, but I think this is the best one. Instant speed, kill a planeswalker creature or non-token creature. It's definitely very powerful, played in standard and older formats alike. Super cool. Again, another 2-minute answer to planeswalkers. We have a white one in ossification. Now we have this edict. I feel like black got a lot of good cards this set, which is kind of unfortunate because black's already so strong in the standard. But here we are. It's all right. It's all right. What can we do? Okay, and now my favorite color, The red cards. No, I'm kidding. They're not favorite, but they're fine. Coming in at number 5, we have Furnace Punisher. Furnace Punisher is a 3-mana, 3/3. It says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, it's still 2 damage to that player unless they control two or more basic lands. I think this is great on formats where people don't play basic lands. Even I play standard. I very rarely play basic lands. I think this is a good sideboard card that's like a Sulfuric Vortex that's hard to kill, also attacks them. It's like a Red Witch Frostodon in a way. It's not fantastic, but I mean red is one thing. It kills you, and this kills you if you're not playing basics. So, all right. Next up, we have Gleeful Demolition. 1 mana, destroy target artifact. If you control the artifact, make 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. This card is. We had one in the past where people would destroy their Mem Knights, make 3 1/1s. Oh, we don't have Mem Knights. We do have other artifacts. We have treasures as well. This card can be played as an aggressive card. 3 1/1s is huge early on, right? It's just a lot of creatures, a lot of damage. If you're able to do this on turn 1 or turn 2 or turn 3, it gets out of hand quick. And red cards aren't very flashy, but they get the job done. This one does get the job done. Not much I'll say about this. It's just you'll just click on it. Blood tokens is what I'm thinking mostly though. I'm not huge on this card, but again, I don't think red got a ton of good cards, which is why I'm including Koth. I feel like red in this set got some of the weird cards overall. But Koth he's alright. He's not that great, but he's 4 mana. He's good. He's good for big red. When he comes into play, he can be a Kavu, right? You get -3 to kill a creature right away. He gets up mountains for you for your +2, and his minus. In the battlefield, deal 4 damage to any target. Again, I don't think this card is backbreaking or insane or anything, but I also think that red got the short end of the stick in this set. Which makes sense because all the Praetors are like powerful, whatever, and Urbrass is like just no, not doing anything. Like leave me alone. I think red got shafted, which you know what, it's okay. I don't mind this, but all right. Next up, we have Urbrass's Forge. Again, red got shafted. I'm telling you, there's not that many great red cards. This is a 3-mana artifact that says. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter on this thing. Make an X1 horror token with trample and haste, where X is number of oil counters on this. I like this because it is at the beginning of combat. It's not like beginning of your upkeep. It happens right away. You get 1/1, and then again there are ways to proliferate. There are ways to again like. Add more counters with there's a land that puts counters on artifacts or things that want oil. So and this card can get out of hand. It's also very good against like board wipes. It's an artifact, so it's vulnerable to removal, like everything. But this one is pretty sweet. I'm not a huge player myself, but this one, as a control mage or a green mage, this is a card I don't want to see really because it's just constant fuel and it's super annoying to deal with. So, therefore, I think it's good because I find it annoying. All right, comment number 1. Honestly, I feel like red has a hard time dealing with Sheoldred, and Rebel Salvo is a great way to kill Sheoldred. So it has affinity for equipment, and then deals 5 damage to our creature or planeswalker that permanently loses indestructible until end of turn. I think you can reduce this cost pretty easily. Kamigawa has a lot of like equipments, also creatures. Like for example, for like Rabbit Battery, right, is 1/1 with haste. That's also equipment, which red decks already play. Kamigawa also has that Ogre helmet thing as an equipment and a creature. So I think this is a great card to kill shielded in your sideboard, main deck, wherever you want it. But again, red has struggled to kill the stupid 4/5 shielded, and this is a great way to get out of here. So this is, I feel like the number one thing is, you know, dealing with that card, and I think this is my go-to. All right, now we'll go to my favorite color, green. Speaking of control decks, Thrun is back. Thrun is back, baby. At 5, Thrun can be countered. He's a 5/5 trample. Thrun, Breaker of Silence, can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. And as long as your turn, this thing is indestructible. Great way. It's great at blocking, great at offense, hard to deal with. It is a good Carnage Tyrant. I feel like the only way you control decks have to actually wrap the board to kill him. He's just tough. He's a tough little cookie. All right. I'm not sure if he's better than OG Thrun in older formats, but he is a good one to have for the green decks in your sideboard if control becomes a thing or bigger. So it's also, again, a lot of the removal spells are black, and Thrun will not die to those cards either. On your turn, being indestructible means you can just bash through things. So it is important to note though that removal that is let's say like black and green. I know binding old gods isn't legal, but as long as they have green in their identity, they can kill him. So he does also curve into Invoke Despair, unfortunately, but you know. All right, next one is Nissa, Ascended Animist. This thing costs 7 mana. 7 mana or 5 mana if you want to pay life. 7 loyalty. Her +1 says, create an XX green Phyrexian horror creature token where X is her loyalty. So her +1 is basically Red 7's -3. The token doesn't have reach, but it is massive. Okay. Her -1 is destroy her artifact or enchantment. That's great for standard in all formats. Having a naturalize over and over again is huge. And her -7 is until end of a turn, because you control get +1/+1 for each forest you control against trample. This way in some games, but it's whatever. It's also worth noting that she does add 4 devotion to green decks. So in older formats, if you're playing Nykthos and you do want ton devotion, she does add 4 green, even if you pay the life. That being said, though, I think she's worse overall than Nissa. Not think she is worse than Nissa, who shakes the world. She's okay. I think she looks better than she is. I think she might be a little overhyped, but I think she's worth being on the list as well. Okay. This one is not overhyped. This one is the regular. This one's a regular card. X in green. Reveal the top X+1 cards of your library. Choose a creature card and/or a land card from among them. Put those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then if X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards on the battlefield or into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So basically, if you pay X = 6, or X = 5 rather, 6 mana, we're playing green. That's not too hard to do. It doesn't matter what creature you find. Like if you find Titan of Industry in a land, you can play both. This is a very powerful spell. Digging deep, getting creatures, getting lands, doing what green does. Both. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this sun. I've liked the blue one, the black one, and the green one. And then older formats, if you like, you know, for 6 mana, putting an Emrakul into play, or Ulumog, or some dumb creature that has an ETB, you know, fighting Niv Mizzet. Aha. Anyways, this card's sweet. Sweet one. All right. Next up, we have Venerated Rot Priest.
1 mana for 1/2 toxic 1. Players are damaged by this creature also get poison counters. And then it's the next card that the next line that's makes it over the top. I think. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. And this says whenever this thing becomes target of a spell, like yours, your opponent's, your mom's, your dad's, doesn't matter. If you target it, someone's getting poisoned. So if Phyrexia tries to kill it, they're getting poisoned, and then if you give it like hexproof, they get poisoned. And if you want to play a combo deck with it, you can there's ground drift to storm off with it. But I think it's also another 1-drop that's poison. Like there's Listener Elf, now we have this too. Yeah, I think this card is. I'm not a huge Effect player, but I don't have to be to realize this card is pretty scary if Effect plays this. Essentially, so. Number 1. This is number 1 because this card is just a freaking house in standard. 3 mana, 4/4 trample, which is already really good. 4/4 trample for 3 is great. Has toxic 1, which is sure also great. Or fine, I guess, whatever. And then it has whatever bloated contaminator deals combat damage to a player, you get to proliferate. Again, I think green-white poison or toxic will be a deck. This card is also great in that deck. There are a lot of green-white cards that have toxic or double strike and toxic or ways to poison the opponent. And this one is it's old growth troll variant for standard. That's also very easy to cast. It's not triple green, so this one's huge. This one is huge. I know there's no Transforce Hex or Rex, and that was because I felt like Thrun was a better sideboard card overall. But we'll see. Thrun not dying to shoulder attacking was a thing as well. Alright. Next up. Kaya, Intangible Slayer. I know this card looks like kind of like junk, not that good. It's like 7 mana. 7 mana is a lot. You know what? You know. Also 7 mana that was played, Karn Liberated, and this is basically Karn Liberated mana with hexproof. So 7 mana for 6 loyalty. Hexproof is pretty nice. For +2, each one lose 3 life. You gain 3 life, so like a lightning helix. For 0, you draw 2 cards, which is great. Each opponent may scry 1. For -3, she exiles a target creature or enchantment. If it wasn't aura, you make a copy of it, except it's 1/1 white spirit creature with flying, just other types. Again, this reminds me of Karn Liberated, 7 mana, kill something. Not only does it exile it, but you also get a copy of it. It doesn't hit. It does not hit like lands, but I think but you getting a copy of whatever you exile, I think is very powerful. It drawing cards, I think is very good. It being able to heal your opponent and have hexproof is relevant too. I don't think you play a ton of these cards, a ton of this, like maybe 1 or 2, but it is a strong finisher for either these big mid-range decks or the control decks. All right. Next up, we have Atraxa Grand Unifier, 7 mana for 7/7 flying, vigilance, death touch, lifelink. And this says with listing in his battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library for each card type. You put one of the card types in your hand. The card types are artifact, battle, what that is yet. Creature, enchantment, instant, land, planeswalker, and sorcery. I'm surprised that I'm surprised that this doesn't show tribal. But anyways, I do think this is worse than the Mizzet Reborn. But it is still very, very powerful to reanimate. It's a strong card to reanimate. And what's really good about it, though, I think, is if you sacrifice a Leyline Binding with Enigmatic Incarnation, she got 7 mana, right? So like you select Binding, you get Atraxa. Right now we have like Agent of Treachery, we have Titan Ministry, and Coma as the ones like floating around. I think Atraxa will be really good too to get with Enigma. So again, if you're able to like select that binding, get an enigmatic incarnation. This is a huge finisher, and you get draw cards. I think it's very good in that deck as well. And that deck is played in Modern, Pioneer, Historic. All right, Nahiri, the Unforgiving. This card, I think, this card does whatever overall, but I like her because she fuels an archetype that I hate. So, anyways, 4 mana, where you pay 3 with life. +1 to your next turn. Up to 1 creature attacks a player each combat if able. +1 discard a card, the draw card, which is great for Greasefang. Then her 0 is exile target creature or equipment card with mana value less than Nahiri's loyalty from your graveyard. Make a tokenless copy of it. It gains haste. I like this. I just like this card. I just like this card in Greasefang. Some lists have played Sorin, that reanimate creatures. This also lets you loot every turn. And reanimate Greasefang for like a 1-shot with Parhelion. And sure, you might be like, okay, this exiles Greasefang at the end step. Who cares? You attacked for 1 billion. You have two angels in play. I think you're good. I think you're fine. This is where I see that card being played. Also, it's also 3. You can play it with 3 mana instead of 4, which is also huge for Greasefang as well. All right. Next one I have is Kaito, Dancing Shadow. 4 mana, 3 loyalty. He has a big static. It says whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you turn one of them to its owner's hand. If you do, you may activate the ability again. I like this most. I like this card mostly for standard. I think it really curves really well with the other Kaito. +1, a target creature can't attack or block until your next turn. So he protects himself. 0, he draws a card. This is -2, gives you a threat, which is make a 2/2 drone, which I think is this panda. Whenever the creature leaves the battlefield, you just only lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. The drone also has this is not flying. It's not a flying something. Sorry, it has Death Touch, which makes it great for blocking as well and protecting him. So protects himself with -2 and +1. He draws cards. I think he's just solid. I think he's a great planeswalker for standard. Especially able to activate him more than once. Number 1, I have Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. 3 mana for 3 loyalty. His ability is you may activate ability of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. +1, untap up to 1 target creature. -2, mill 3 cards. You may turn a creature with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Obviously this is solid for like mana dorks, but what really shines is going to be decks that are comboing off that needs you to tap, right? Like Devoted Druid, and being able to like reanimate Devoted Druid off this -2, and give it essentially give it haste to add infinite mana with the God. I'm so bad with these card names. The white card that says counters can't be put on creatures, so you can activate Devoted Druid over and over again, gain infinite mana. But also, yeah, in standard, this is great with if you're playing Jund and playing Fabled Mirrorbreaker. It gives the Kikijiki flipped haste. No, but there's a Coco deck too. Man, it's also just solid with elves too. But there's a Coco deck in Modern that can infinite combo with Devoted Druid and another creature. And for some reason, it's bothering me. I can't remember what that card is called. I believe it's a white card. It says counters can be put on creatures. Or green. I think it's Malaria. I think it's Malaria, actually, isn't it? Silvoke Outcast or something like that. Or Vizier. Vizier of Remedies. Vizier of Remedies. That's it. Vizier of Remedies or Malaria and Devoted Druid. You get to go off. It is a creature. They're both creatures, and he can grab them, so. That one. All right. Last up, we have the artifacts. I put artifacts and lands together. Okay. So We jam them together. The Filigree Silex. 2 mana. Put Old counter on this thing. Have it put Old counter. Tap it. Sacrifice it. Destroy each non permanent with mana value equal to the number of counters on this. Or you can tap it, remove 10 counters from among permanents you control, and sacrifice it. Deal 10 damage to any target. So I'm a huge fan personally of Ratchet Bomb, especially in decks that can't normally kill creatures like blue or green or whatever. This is just a better Ratchet Bomb. Obviously, like it's always better than the first Ratchet Bomb you play. I like it a lot. It's great. It's great removal. You can stack it at instant speed. I think last ability is whatever, but it having the last ability is nice as a way to, like, you know, you're like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna kill you instead, or maybe proliferate until you kill them. I respect Ratchet Bomb. I think this is just a good card for the decks that have struggle with removing creatures or whatever, like, or enchantments, artifacts. Having on one is also a thing. All right, next one is Sword of Forge and Frontier. This is the red green sword. So +2/+2, pro red and green. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You can play those cards this turn. You can play an additional land this turn. This card is generically good. Red means that red is a removal color. So having pro red is nice, like we saw from like Sword of Fire and Ice. Obviously, black is good to have 2. We don't have that. We have green 2, which allows you to attack through blockers. Obviously, black is like the most played deck, so this card isn't like huge if they have a lot of blockers or block creatures. But its ability rivals like sort of Fire and Ice. I personally like this one more than Sword of Feast and Famine. Being able to essentially draw 2 cards and play additional land is massive. Is massive on connection. Actually, I like the sword a lot out of all the swords personally. I think it's pretty powerful. Growth Spiral plus Growth Spiral draw 2. Then you can also play them both, and play land is nice. And land isn't like have to be exiled. The extra land can be from your hand, which is sweet as well. All right, next one is Phyrexia. Again, this is a nod to the green-white toxic deck in standard. You can tap for colorless mana. You also add one mana any color. The first card comes into play, and then you can tap 3 mana, make a 1/1 might. This is mostly not for standard decks to keep pushing that toxic thing in, right? I feel like lands in standard aren't that powerful right now, so I think this is nice. Like we have Mishra's Foundry. This is a nice threat for again the green white toxic deck. This is Sphere. There's not much Sphere, Tribal, or Synergy in this set, but there are some things that tutor for Spheres. I think there's one card that cares about Spheres, but it's nothing really. I have the Seed Core as well, just another utility land. This is top 5 lands as well. So add colorless mana, or I don't make any color to cast Phyrexian spells. Sorry, Phyrexian creature spells. Then you can give target 1/1 creature +2/+1 on turn. Activate if one has 3 more poison counters. This is sweet because people also play Pendlehaven in older formats. This is kind of like a Pendlehaven that's not legendary. That poison or infect can easily play. That that is gonna they'll be able to give you 3 poison pretty quickly. So we turn on very fast. And the last card is kind of a freebie for me. I'm sorry, but it is. Top 1 is just all the fast lands. Seacrum Coast, Copperland Gore, just all these fast lands are clearly one of the best cards, if not the best cards, in the set. Right? These are the best lands in the set, and the best lands in a bunch of formats. They're great in Modern, great in Pioneer, great in Standard. Fast lands, baby. Bam! Boom! Love it. This set, I think this set is one of the strongest sets we've... Not the strongest. It is... It is a very strong set. I will say that. It is much stronger than the last set of Brothers War. I think this one will have an impact on Standard a lot more, and impact on older formats. We saw Shoulder's Edict. You know, we saw some lands that also affect older formats. I'm a fan of this card, of this set. And I'm glad it's gonna impact things. So yeah, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. That's my top 5. By the way, if you shop at CoolStuffInc.com, make sure to use code LA5 to 5% off your order. I stream live over at twitch.tv/AlielDrazi. You can find my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/AlielDrazi as well. Thank you so much. I'll catch you next time. Peace.